Thank you for staying with us. And one of the things you would have noticed with our ministry and our man of God is God has given him a coat of many, many colors. And that's why you find us in every area of human endeavor. Tomorrow, the 13th of September, is the World First Aid Day. And as you know, I did say we have a coat of many colors. The trauma care is taking things, it's not letting things lie low. This morning, we have a representative of the trauma care, Promise Agua, coming here to share with us some insights into the World First Aid Day and some of the things that we need to take cognizance of and what the trauma care is actually doing to make it what everybody's were. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Always great to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk to us. It's the World First Aid Day. What exactly are we talking about in the first place?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The World First Aid Day is none other but a day set aside to raise awareness for the life-saving skill first aid and CPR. Because when you look around the world, you realize that emergencies always happen.
Yes.
And whenever it happens, the question usually is, the people around, do they know what to do? Can they even recognize that this is an emergency and then respond accurately? So the World First Aid Day is a day that has been set aside to raise awareness of, basic first aid. The reason why people every individual need to have a basic first aid training. Because it can happen anywhere. It can happen to anybody and it can happen at any time. So when it happens, what are you going to do? Like I tell people that the very basic knowledge of the emergency number in your country, in your city, knowing that when you recognize an emergency, you are supposed to call that number. That is first aid. You might not know how to do the CPR or the recovery position, but the fact that you recognize that this is an emergency and you reached out to alert somebody else or to alert the emergency services, that is first aid.
I can see you came prepared because before Mary, I know Mary, right? Before you came prepared to
I did.
demonstrate some of the things you need to do when in the event of an emergency, and we can see you came with the paraphernalia of first aid. Mary.
Yeah, I was going to ask even before this that what are the things that are meant to be in the first aid toolkits for people, family members, for sake of emergencies and the likes of them?
Well, like I always say, there's a difference between a first aid kit and a first aid box.
Okay.
What's the difference?
The first aid box is just the box without the items in it.
Okay.
So but when you say first aid kits, you now mean to say the first aid box with all the prerequisite items in it.
Okay.
And then the first aid box is usually unique. It is usually designed for the particular group that it will be used to attend to. Take for instance, the first aid box you will have in a home will be slightly different. The items you find in the first aid box in a home will be slightly different from what you find in the first aid box in a hospital or a pharmacy. Okay, because now we are looking at just about 3 or 4 people, 5 people at most, or maybe 7. So there are just some things that you might not find, in the first aid box in the home that you find in the hospital. Like I was on a radio show on Wednesday, and then I was asked this same question, and I said, the presenter, the host of the show was saying something like iodine solution. I said, no, you might not find iodine solution in a first aid box in a home because in as much as we are trying to discourage self-medication.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you will find it in a first aid box, maybe in a pharmacy or in a hospital. Okay,
Absolutely.
so what we are trying to do is when you are trying to get a first aid box for your house, there are basic things. You have scissors, bandages, plaster, okay, you have we have tweezers, gauze, okay. So these are basic things you find, in a first aid box, okay. And then when we are not talking about, maybe a first aid box for an emergency responder, then you are talking about things like a blanket. There's this we call it trying to remember the accurate name now. There's a blanket, in case you are attending to someone with burns. Okay, then there is you can have maybe some medications, simple medications that you can give to stabilize the individual. Not forgetting that first aid is not, a first aider is not taking the place of the medical doctor or nurse.
or nurse.
Okay, that's why it's called first aid. It is the first treatment, correct and immediate treatment given to a sick or injured person before you take them to the hospital or before the medical
help comes.
professional team arrives. Okay, so that period between when the accident happens and when the professional help arrives, we call that the golden hour.
Okay.
Very, very important. So you are doing something to sustain. These are the three aims of first aid: to prevent harm, further harm, to preserve the life, and also to hasten recovery. Okay. So we are trying to prevent harm, preserve the life, and also to promote recovery. Okay, so these are the aims of first aid. So when we are talking about first aid box, we are looking at, okay, how many people do we have in a setting?
Okay, that would determine
the contents you're going to have in the first aid box.
Amazing.
Now, I know the trauma care is doing quite a lot to create sensitization, and from part of what you've said, first aid is supposed to be something that everybody has knowledge of.
Yes.
And how will you say we can make this a currency? Because, the trauma care has been, in fact, I've benefited from the first aid training, and I'm a first responder, but not everybody has that opportunity. How can more people get on board, given that everybody should have at least the primary knowledge of first aid?
Well, trauma care is, our arms are wide open, to receive anybody who will be anybody, not just an individual, any group. Okay, whether it's a corporate group, a religious group, schools. In fact, as we speak, we have several trainings lined up tomorrow. Tomorrow, the main day, both on-site and online. Okay, so we are open to and willing to train any group that would like to learn first aid. And we are on social media. We're on King's Chat. Okay, TCIF_office on King's Chat. Anybody who would like to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on King's Chat. Also, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for Trauma Care International Foundation. You will find us there. And we are very active on those platforms. Also, our website, www.traumacareinternational.org, is there. You can reach out to us or you can call us, +234 91 2002 9752. Any of these channels.
Can you take the number again?
Okay, +234 91 2002 9752. Okay, so any of these channels, through any of these channels, you can reach us. Book a training session with us, and the rest is history.
Excellent. Now, you did say something about CPR.
Yes.
And it's a buzzword. People use the word CPR. What exactly is CPR?
CPR is that's an acronym for Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation. It's one of the first aid techniques you use for unconscious casualties.
Okay.
There are some incidents that will involve unconscious casualties.
Okay.
And when we talk about unconscious casualties, now we are looking at whether they are breathing or not breathing. Because casualties can be unconscious, but they are still breathing, and they can be unconscious, and they are no longer breathing. So when they are no longer breathing, which is very critical, which is more critical, that is when you initiate the CPR. Okay, you initiate what we call the cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It's a technique that involves chest compressions and rescue breaths. Okay, but in the case where you would not, or you're not comfortable to do the rescue breaths, there's what we call the hands-only CPR. That is, you continue chest compressions. So that's the reason why
you have
the mannequins to demonstrate.
You can do it both for babies, and for
children
and
adults. Babies. Yes, we have what we call the adult CPR. We have the child CPR, and then we have the infant CPR. Okay, and the techniques for these three are a little bit different. Take, for instance, when you want to perform CPR for an adult, you use two hands. Two hands that are clutched like this.
Okay.
Yes. Then for a child is one hand. Okay. And then for babies, there's something we call the double thumb encycling. where you put your two hands under the armpits and then you compress with your thumb. Usually it used to be, some people might say two fingers. But for effectiveness, it's been advised to use the double thumb compression. Okay, so just slight
But
differences.
I've seen for infants where, the doctor seemed to be tapping the back of the infant.
Yes, that is for choking.
For choking,
we have
okay.
we have
Yeah.
first aid for burns, first aid for choking, first aid for seizures. I mean, there's first aid for everything.
Everything, okay.
First aid for cuts, first aid for bruises, first aid for bleeding. When someone has a cut and you need to stop the bleeding. I mean, there are a lot. You see, and it's not something that you learn and then you assume I know it all.
Yes,
You have to
you have to
refresh,
be
refresh that
refreshing.
knowledge.
Yes.
You have to refresh that knowledge
Yes.
constantly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you are going to give us a demo
Yes.
of how these things are done, but we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll go into a demo so that all of us out there can have insight into the proper way
Yeah.
CPR is
Yes, sir.
conducted. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Okay, I think before we do go on that break, I was also thinking about the fact that do you need any special qualifications to become somebody that can administer first aid? Because it's not, you don't need, do you need any special set of skills?
Yes. No, you don't.
Okay.
Anybody can learn.
Anybody can learn.
Anybody.
Yeah. So you did mention on-site and online.
Yes.
I know the trauma care has some level of education on administering first aid. Is this something anybody can have access to? You can go to the site and get information on how to conduct CPR.
Yes, we do have a portal where people can log in, okay, and then they learn first aid, okay.
Okay.
And then we usually have monthly webinars, okay, where we reach out to a certain group, okay, either within the country or outside the country, reach out to them to teach them first aid, okay, online. So,
okay. So we're coming back to do a demo so that people can see.
I'll be very glad to do the demo.
So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll go into a demo on how you can conduct a CPR in the case of an emergency.
Morning, morning flight, yeah.
Trauma has become a global public health problem. Research has shown that the outcomes of accidents and emergencies are better when there is a skilled first responder at the site of the incident. At Trauma Care International Foundation, we are building the largest global community of skilled volunteers, community heroes, and lifesavers. Join the Trauma Care International Foundation First Responder Network today and start saving lives in your community. Sign up today to save lives. For more information, please contact us.
Morning, morning flight, yeah.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. And just in case you're just joining, we did say before we went on that break that we are going to be having a demo on how you can perform CPR at home in the event of an emergency. Tomorrow happens to be the World First Aid Day, and in celebration of that day, we have a representative from the Trauma Care International coming in here to show us, give us tidbits and show us how to do some of these things. Promise, yes. Can you demonstrate how we can give CPR particularly?
All right, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When we are talking about CPR, we are looking at a skill, a technique that you can use to resuscitate or revive an unconscious casualty. You know, unconsciousness usually arises sometimes from the trauma to the head. Okay, so maybe the individual was involved in an accident, okay, and then they collapsed on the floor. The very first thing you do is to ensure that the scene is safe for you, the responder, to approach. Okay, there's an outline, there's a step, okay, step of outline that we use, DRS ABC. Okay, DRS ABC. That is doctors ABC. DRS ABC. Okay, so D there stands for danger. Okay, which means scene safety. You're trying to ensure that there is nothing that presents a hazard, potential risk to yourself, the first aider, so that we don't have double casualty. So when you approach, the first thing you do is to scan the environment to be sure that it is safe for you to approach to help this casualty.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the next thing is R. You move to R, which is response. So you go on your feet this time and gently tap the shoulders. You don't shake the casualty vigorously, okay? You gently tap the shoulders and then call into both ears. Hello, can you hear me? Let's assume this is Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, so you say, you don't necessarily have to know the name.
Yes.
If you don't know the name of the casualty, you can say, hello, sir, hello, ma.
Yeah.
Okay, so, hello, Mr. Thomas. Hello, Mr. Thomas, can you hear me? Mr. Thomas, can you hear me, Mr. Thomas? You can see how gently I tapped the shoulder. You don't shake them like this or move them anyhow.
People have a tendency to do that.
To do that because you don't know if this casualty have sustained either spinal or neck injury, okay, when they collapsed. So you gently tap the shoulders, call for response.
Yeah.
If they don't respond, that means they are unconscious. Okay? Then that is when you move to S. You send for help or you shout for help. Okay? So if I want to send for help, maybe there are other people around me, you know, sympathizers, onlookers, bystanders. I'll say, call the emergency number now. Now you need to know the emergency number in your city, in your locality. Okay, take for instance, in Lagos, it's 767. The national emergency number in Nigeria is 112. Okay, so now if I'm going
Please, can you take that again? Lagos 767.
Yes.
National
emergency number is 112. Okay, so now if you are going to be sending someone or asking someone to call for help, what you would do is call the emergency number now. Okay, you see 767. Now when the person, because you know the reason why you are asking someone to do that is because once you've started attending to a casualty, you don't leave them. Okay, until help arrives. Okay, now send someone to get help. If you are alone with the casualty, you shout for help. Help! Somebody help! What are you trying to do? You want to draw attention to yourself and the casualty, okay? To draw help to yourself. Now, that is for S. You move to A, okay? Assuming you've sent someone to get help, you now move to A. Now, A stands for airway. You want to clear the person's airway. Okay, how do you do that? You place your palm on their forehead, two fingers on the bony part of their cheek, their chin, and then you tilt. You tilt backward this way, gently. Remember, you are trying to, as much as possible, save this life to prevent further harm. So you gently tilt the head this way and you lean in, okay? You place your cheek close enough to the nostril, not on the nostril, but close enough to the nostril to feel the warm air coming from the nostrils, while you are at the same time looking at the chest to observe whether the chest is rising and falling. Okay, so now we are going to do that, and when we do that, we stay in that position for 10 seconds. Now, by tilting the head backward and raising the chin, we've cleared the airway. So what we are trying to do now is to check if this casualty is still breathing, because that will determine whether we give CPR or we turn him or her to the recovery position. Okay. So now, this is me checking, clearing the airway and checking for breathing. That is AB on our steps. So we've done DRS-AB. So now, I lean in, and at the same time, I'm looking at the chest, okay, while I'm waiting to feel, I'm trying to feel the warm air from the nostrils. In this position, I stay for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 seconds only is what you spend in this position, nothing and nothing more. Then now, I observe that Mr. Thomas is unconscious and he's also not breathing.
Not breathing.
What do? I initiate CPR immediately. So this is the time I bear Mr. Thomas' chest, all right, so that I can locate the center of his chest. You only do this for someone that you are familiar with. If it is an outsider, you don't necessarily have to bear the chest.
Yes.
Okay, and then, you have to be very careful in the community where you are. Okay, some communities are very gender sensitive.
Yes.
Very gender sensitive. So a man is not allowed to touch a woman.
Yes.
A woman is not allowed to touch a man. So in those communities, what you do is you get a woman to attend to the lady, or you get a man to attend to the man. Okay, so now we are going to place our hands. There's what we call the right hand placement for CPR, okay, which is you draw an imaginary line down the throat across the nipple. Okay, so down the throat across the nipple. That intersection is where I place my hand, the heel of my palm, not my whole palm like this, but the heel, okay, of my palm this way. And then I interlock this way, okay? The heel of my palm, I interlock my hands like this, okay? When you interlock your hands like this, it's just the heel of your palm that will be exposed.
Yeah.
That will be left. So you interlock this way, and not this way, but this way. And then you place it at that point, that intersection, and then you lean in. You can't do CPR like this. When you are done, you sustain backache. Yes. So what you do is lean in, you move in, and then you straighten your arm this way, like you are leaning on top of the casualty. And then you compress, okay, hard and fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Now, I did 30 chest compressions, okay? And if you were close enough to me, you will hear that there is a click for each and every compression that I did. That click is a spring that is placed in this mannequin, and it's a notification that my depth of compression was 5 centimeters because this is an adult.
Yes.
So because the heart is in the rib, okay, you really have to compress that deep, 5 cm, to get to the heart because you're trying to compress, okay, the heart to resuscitate the individual.
Yes.
Now you do that, and then you give 2 rescue breaths. So 30 chest compressions to 2 rescue breaths. If you are okay with that. If not, what you do what we call the hands-only CPR. Okay? Hands-only CPR. Hands-only CPR when you don't want to do the rescue breaths.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the hands-only CPR will mean that you would continue the chest compressions. You don't stop at 30. You continue till 100 or 120, and you must achieve that in 60 seconds. So that means chest compressions does not require distractions. 1, 2, and like I said, hard and fast. And another thing is, like I said, I always say to people that emergency response is not a one-man show. You must call for help because chest compressions are exhausting. So when you are getting tired, because if you continue when you are tired, the depth of your compression
and the intensity will
no longer be there. So you need to quickly switch. Someone needs to take over from you to continue until the casualty is resuscitated.
Yeah.
And then for babies, this is a baby here. If we want to perform chest compressions on a baby, like I said earlier on, is double thumb this way, and then you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think you can
7.
lift that so that they can see.
No, it has to be on the floor.
Okay.
Compressions are best done.
I wanted them to see. Okay, put it on the floor.
So this way, you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is chest compressions for children, babies, rather, for infants.
Okay.
And then for theirs, it is 15 chest compressions
Not 30.
to 2 rescue breaths. 15 to 2 rescue breaths. Okay. So it's, like I said, there are little slight differences between adult CPR, child CPR, and infant CPR.
Wow.
Amazing.
This is
that was
amazing.
a beautiful demonstration.
I'm sure a lot of us will be interested to know this because of emergencies, and it can happen anytime and at any point. We want to say a very big thank you to you, sir, for
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for
giving us this enlightenment, and we hope that all of you out there have learned 1 or 2 things, but you can still go on the Trauma Care International website to
Yes,
get more
or you can reach out to
information.
us.
Yeah,
on any
thank
of the
you.
channels I
Thank you
mentioned
so
earlier.
much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
We'll be taking a very short break, and when we come back, we'll move on to another segment of the show. You don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back.